Oh, you damn right. Let's get you a modcast for a busy Tuesday. I know it's July, but there's always recruiting stuff to talk about with the Longhorns. Plus, we're, I think, 53 days till kickoff in Columbus as we talk to you. Everything is starting to move a little quicker. We're also talking to you on the Tuesday. I believe it's exactly a week away from Sark and Texas players at SEC Media Days. So I can't really pump it up any more than that. It is the Modcast. Jason Sukamel, Anwar Richardson jumping in. Alex Dunlap taking a little time this week. In fact, we just had a group meeting, the Orange Bloods meeting, and my man's on a plane headed somewhere. So we hope he has safe travels, and all of you that are getting a little time off are enjoying it. So, fellas, real quick before we get into recruiting, I do want to give Daly and Black some love. We do it anyway. Daly and Black is your presenting sponsor each and every week on the Modcast. But check this out. Daly and Black has started a GoFundMe page for those folks in Central Texas, the flood victims and everybody going through things in the Kerrville area and obviously elsewhere. And just a few minutes ago, somebody on our team's channel, the OB group, let us know a $50,000 donation came in. So to that person, oh my God, thank you so much for that. But thank you to Daly and Black for getting that started. You can go to orangebloods.com, go to the famous, legendary 40 Acres forum and find it there. Daly and Black trying to help those folks in Central Texas. So we're certainly still thinking of everybody in that area. Thank you guys for jumping in. Cotton is in with a big hook'em, and Nate with a capital LG, which I'm assuming is a let's go for this one. All right, boys, we got plenty of recruiting stuff to jump into. So, Jason, let me start with you. There are two guys that are going to make a decision today. We're, talking to folks in the live in the 12 o'clock hour here, but it is 2:45 this afternoon, and I believe 6 o'clock this evening. Let's start with Jaylen Lot. It is a name we have talked about plenty. Texas fans looking for some good news. By the way, your first world problems if John Turntine commits, and somehow that was not great news. Anyway, that's a whole Kosi Okpala and John Turntine, and somehow that wasn't the best news possible. Anyway, but what do Texas fans need to know about the latest on Jaylen Lot? What's your feeling here?
Yeah, he's got a, like you said, 2:45 announcement at his school up there in Frisco, Texas, Panther Creek High School. Texas made a strong run there, Chad, I guess you could say, kind of at the end, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. Texas initially was recruiting him as a defensive back. That kind of had them behind maybe some other schools. They transitioned and said, okay, we're going to recruit you exclusively as a wide receiver, which Jaylen preferred. They brought him in on his official visit. Chris Jackson, everybody, recruited him as a wide receiver. But it's always been Oregon has been kind of the main player here. Going back to the spring, I had a conversation with Jaylen at Texas Relays, I believe. It was a track meet. And he told me just directly, hey, Oregon was his team to beat. And this was back in, I don't know if that was March or April. So Oregon's always been a major factor there. USC was a school that a lot of people were paying attention to, understandably, but they just got Booby Feaster recently, so their numbers are getting pretty tight. I think this thing is going to go Oregon's direction. But, I mean, you know it. He's a dual legacy player at the University of Texas. Texas isn't just going to throw him in the towel here. They'll keep recruiting Jaylen Lot, but I don't think it's going to be good news for Texas this afternoon at 2:45.
Man, I'm really going through some recruiting fan PTSD. The fact that Booby Feaster is not going to be at Texas.
You're the inner teenager in you is just upset that you can't get away with saying boobies unscathed for the next 4 years.
Anwar, do you understand all the crazy like sophomoric T-shirts and hats that would have been made that you would get to see walking around campus? You would have seen them walking into every home game. We love Booby. Bring us more Booby.
The graphics would have been on point.
The graphics, right?
The graphic, whoever put together those edits, a Hayes Fawcett edit, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Well, and before we go to any other names, Anwar, I want to get your kind of a philosophical thought on. Let's focus in on Jaylen Lot here. Jason's talking about not only is there another team involved here strongly, but it's Oregon. So we know Oregon's got a lot going for it, including the NIL part. This week on Orange Bloods in the Sunday pulpit, I know you wrote about kind of that story of everybody loves to freak out this time of year, but Sark doesn't and Texas doesn't. And we should probably give them a little credit for that. But for you in this version where we're about to go into uncharted, territory, do you sense any sort of changeability, malleability on the way Sark thinks about it? Guy like Jaylen Lot, these NIL deals that are getting signed and even an agent letting everybody know about it in Tech's case. You think there's maybe any changing going here, or are Sark and his guys sitting back saying, hey, we said see us in December. See us in December.
It's interesting because, I had strong thoughts about it this weekend, and then Jason and I talked this morning, and he's kind of, I've been thinking about the conversation that we've had, and it's kind of altered it a little bit just because, all these guys who are pledging at this moment, right? They all have NIL deals that are probably verbally in place, right? And all these guys are probably getting numbers that they like, right? Quite honest with you. And the guys who are not going to Texas are probably getting numbers that maybe Texas was not willing to pay, right? Because if Texas was willing to pay that number, then all of a sudden they probably would be here, right? And so then what it comes back to when you say see us in December, well, what that means is that then Texas, knowing whatever that number is, would probably have to exceed whatever that number is here in July. And so the question is, are they going to exceed everyone's number? Right. I mean, I don't see a windfall of we're going to flip 10 guys. Cause if 10 guys, let me just use easy numbers, right? Let's say 10 guys receive the pledge of $1 million a year. I'm just doing it to make the numbers easy. Does that means Texas in November, December has to promise 10 guys 1.2, 1.5, 1.7? I don't know about that. And so I feel like Texas, it's interesting because I asked Jason about this. I feel like Texas is trying to use their money smartly and trying not to quote unquote overspend. But it is interesting that other programs are having no problems figuring out who they want and getting guys committed for whatever those prices are. And some of those teams are competing against Texas, right? So I'm not doom and gloom. Sarkis definitely has earned for me, he's right until proven wrong. Yeah. And so I'm not, I won't even say give him benefit of doubt, but maybe to a certain degree, I give him the benefit of the doubt, right? But I think the point that Jason made as we talked this morning, and I think it's the best one, is that this thing is all about money right now. This is what I was going to tell you, Jason, this morning, and Chad. Back in the day, and I say back in the day, 5, 7, 8 years ago, it was all about visiting the campus, meeting the professors, right? Going on the tour, all these things. He went to the Macomb school. He always dreams of going to Macomb school. Jason, I don't know if these people are even meeting professors when they go to these campus tours anymore.
They are. May not matter, but they are. Yeah.
I mean, who? I used to, you would hear from professors and the staff would ask them to come in on certain weekends. Like Leonard Moore and those guys, right? And help to recruit. I don't even think they're bringing in these guys, man. It's literally just all about, yeah. This is cool. Campus is cool. How much are you getting paid? How much am I getting paid, right? Because Felix Ojo, for all intents and purposes, no offense to anybody who lives in Lubbock, if you have a choice between living between two cities, there's probably a city that you would rather live in. However, if you're going to get paid what he's getting paid, Lubbock it is, right? So to get to back to the point, which is just all these decisions, all based on money, and it's all going to come down to the bottom line. I don't know how many of these guys, Texas, when it's all said and done, is going to just overwhelmingly convince, like, okay, well, you need to come here because they all seemingly have deals right now.
Yeah, and by the way, when Chris Bennett, you're absolutely right. Yep, that's not the Prince variety. That's Cash rules everything around me. Very good, very good. That's a Wu-Tang reference.
Wu-Tang, yes.
Yes, right. There's two different
Shaolin,
ways,
baby. Shaolin style, baby.
There you go. It's either the Prince version or it's the Wu-Tang version.
Yeah, I think the Prince version is not for this show at noon.
It's a different show. Different show. Totally different show on the Prince version.
That's the Outsiders.
That's true.
Tonight at 9 o'clock.
In fact, sometime I got to suggest to Chance Mock for the Mock 5 Top 5 favorite Dirty Prince songs. We'll get that one done one week.
I like that.
Oscar, we see your $4.99 super chat, but before we get there, Oscar's got a kind of a bigger point, Jason, but let me hit the other name for today, because this evening it's Braden Rouse, the talented linebacker out of Georgia. He's got a 6 o'clock announcement. Any chance this one ends up Texas?
Yeah, good chance. I'm going to be watching that one very closely. It's Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, and Michigan. Braden is keeping things very tight-lipped, if you will. I don't think he's telling coaches. He's not obviously telling media. A lot of guys will give commitment quotes before they announce. Braden's not doing any of that. I think everybody's going to be sweating this one out. I think it's going to be Texas or Tennessee, Chad. But I wouldn't discount Michigan or Alabama completely. But I do think there's been the most chatter about Tennessee and Texas. This one's interesting because he took a Texas unofficial visit back in April. And that was his first time coming into town, first time meeting the coaches and all that. And when he left, there was rumblings like, hey, man, I think Texas might be the team to beat here. Culturally, he just seems to fit, high character kid. Academics are important to him. So Anwar, they probably did bring out the professors on his official visit in June. He took that Texas official visit in June 13th, but Tennessee got the last visit, June 20th. He's taken a bunch of unofficial visits to Tennessee. So a lot of people were kind of favoring Tennessee, just kind of reading between the lines here. I predicted him to go to Texas in my 3-2-1, and I'll be honest, I posted that last night. Part of it was because, okay, we need some good news. So I don't know where this kid's going, to be clear, but I'm going to go ahead and predict him to Texas because, damn it, I'm tired of writing nothing but negative news reports for the most part.
Well, Jason, you would be against – I'm looking at the On3/Rivals predictions. They've got him at an 87.9% to Tennessee prediction.
Yeah, and again, most of that
by two guys, it looks like, though.
Yeah, and most of that is based off of him having visited Tennessee quite a bit. But I'm telling you, behind the scenes, and maybe people are misreading this, okay? It wouldn't be the first time. Texas thought they were getting Felix Ojo until we put out our report on Tuesday. They said, no, probably not. So behind the scenes, there has been some confidence in this one in Austin. But is that something directly that Braden Rouse told people? No. It's just kind of saying, hey, this one the pieces seem to fit. But so there is some confidence behind the scenes a little bit. But you also, especially when a guy's not saying much, he's playing it close to the vest, you have to just kind of pay attention to the signs. There have been a lot of visits to Tennessee, Anwar, so I understand why people might be thinking Tennessee in this one. I think it'll come down to Texas and Tennessee in the end. He'll announce tonight at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, Ben saying Tennessee's been on him for the longest, but Ben's got the feeling it's going to be Texas this evening.
I'll tell you what, he's a very cerebral and kid and very thorough in his evaluations on this recruiting process. After every visit he takes, he and his family get together. And I don't have the quote in front of me, but they go through this whole checklist of pros and checks and minuses and pros and cons. And they have a very detailed and systematic way of how they're handling this recruiting process. So as Anwar and everybody knows, NIL is going to be a part of it. Okay. But if the NIL things are fairly equal, Texas could very well win out on this one because there's a lot. Texas does check a lot of boxes for Braden Rouse, but I don't think anybody truly knows which way that one's going to go. probably not until he announces tonight at 6 o'clock.
So if it doesn't go Texas's way, how much do we get to blame you, Jason? I think that's what we all want to know. Like, how much do we just to get to come and just pound Jason?
Yeah,
and just feel like this guy's the bearer of bad news. What about that?
In my Q&A said, like, why are you the way you are? I said, hey, didn't I just hand deliver John Turntine to you guys?
What have you done for me lately?
That's how ungrateful they have become, Jason. That's the first world problem. When you hand them John Turntine and they stick their nose in the air like they're smelling bad onions, that's not good.
Like, Turntine commits. That's a huge deal. John Turntine is a phenomenal prospect, but all anybody wanted to talk about on 4th of July was Felix Ojo in Texas.
And what was crazy is, Jason, it's funny, like when you go back to the Fasusi recruitment, right? And then Texas doesn't get Fasusi. Literally, it was, you got to get one of the two from next year. You got to get Turntine or Ojo.
Well, initially it was Turntine. It wasn't even Ojo.
Yeah, it was Turntine.
And then it became one of the two. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and then I think Ojo got the 5th star, so I think then people started thinking, oh, it's got to be this guy. But literally, you're right. It was, well, you don't get Fasusi, but you get Turntine. Everything's all good. That happens, and then all we do is complain about not getting Ojo.
All right, let's fit this super chat in from Oscar. Oscar, thank you for the $4.99. Feels like Texas is missing on so many big prospects this cycle. Is this another wait and see? Where does the volume come from for a top 3 class? That's an interesting way to phrase it. Jason, this just in, fans care about top 3 and top classes. So how do they get from today, as we're talking on this July 8th, how do they get from here to top 3?
Yeah, well, Oscar, listen, they got Turntine, they've got Diabell, they got Richie Wesley. These are 5-star type guys, so they're not missing on all of them, right? You got to, I would say, like, recruiting, you got to celebrate the wins, and sometimes forget the misses, because there are going to be more misses than there are wins. There's only so many guys you can take, but Oscar brings up a good point. Like, Texas has, I'm looking at the On3 kind of consensus rankings. They're number 16. They have 17 commitments, but 3 of those, with all due respect, are a kicker, a punter, and a deep snapper, right? So you look at schools like USC has 31, Georgia 27, A&M 24, Notre Dame 25. So where does the volume come from? Oscar, it's a legit point. Can they get Braden Rouse? If not, can they get Tyler Atkinson? Can they close on Jamarian Carlton on this Thursday? Does Samari Matthews on Friday go Texas's way? There's a few guys that are announcing on Saturday this week, but none of them are favoring Texas. So it's going to have to be flips. They're going to have to close on some of these guys we just mentioned. There might be some senior risers, a guy that comes out and has a great, who knows, a running back or somebody that has a tremendous senior season. Texas as well. We got to go get that guy. But it is a little bit concerning, as he says, where does the volume come from? They're at 17. 3 of them are specialists, So how do they get to 30 the way USC is already at 30? How does Texas get to 30? Yeah. If you want to have a top 3 class, you're probably going to have to get to that kind of number. So where do we find 13 commits? I couldn't predict 13 right now, Oscar, but recruiting is, as we all know, it's very fluid. December is a long ways away. New guys will come onto the radar that maybe aren't realistically in the mix right now. So, but it is a very fair and a good question by Oscar. Like, where does the volume come from? I honestly couldn't tell you right now.
Yeah, there are some other big commitments coming up this week. We will get into that here on the podcast. That cleans up the super chats for now. If you want to throw one in, please do so. We'll also thank some of our great partners around here, including sinus and snoring specialists. You guys know I talk about them a lot, and that's because they helped me breathe better. I talk about things that do that. The sinus and snoring specialists, they're right there in the Parmer and Mopac area. Great central location, and they've been there for a long time. I went in 2017 and got things taken care of. This is a place with so much experience and so many options for you for sleep apnea, snoring, sinus issues, allergies that drive you crazy. This weather that we've had these last few months where it is dry for a while and then it just starts raining, and that can really mess with the allergies. They can get rid of your allergies for good. just like they did for me in 2017. So check them out, 601-0303. You can securely call or text that number or go to sinussnoringent.com. Feel clear, rested, and healthy with the good folks at Sinus and Snoring Specialists. And we certainly appreciate you guys jumping in to the Modcast.
By the way, Chad, Jason, I know you already saw this. When in 2020, we can't do this again, right?
I'm glad you put that up, yeah, because like that's what we said.
Yeah,
you're back to back, semifinal appearances.
Yeah.
So
y'all know what Texas has been doing lately in football? Just sucking, just terrible. Boy, they've been awful, haven't they?
Archie's there and college football playoff. People are gonna be beating down the doors to commit to Texas. But the recruiting landscape, it's not all about wins and losses. Like Onmar, I used to drive Onmar nuts 10 years ago when I would say, like, hey, just win and they'll come. And I meant it back then, but now NIL kind of cancels some of that out, right?
It's so bizarre, guys. For years, I would say that Texas fans could be a little reactionary sometimes. And sometimes that I would argue they watched games like with their arms folded. And it was kind of like, oh, you show us something, then we'll go. But I've always said that if you show it to them, they will go crazy for it. They'll lose their minds for it. So these last couple of years, I've just been thinking there's going to be a wave of energy, recruiting money, and all this stuff. And there still are some Texas fans, I think, out there with the arms folded thinking, I need to see a little bit more. And that to me is crazy.
It's kicking your can down the road. And, look, I don't know what more you need to see. I mean, outside of winning a natty, but, outside of that, I think Texas is doing what they need to do. I mean, hell, they had a better record than Alabama did, right? I mean, so it's not that. I think Jason's point is the correct one. It's the money, right? It's just sometimes Texas isn't wanting to overspend. I think Texas is trying to be a little bit of protective of their money and how they delegate it to everybody. But some other programs are finding ways to just say, hey, we'll pony up a lot for one particular guy and let's see if it can work. Or other programs said, we just don't care. Let's just go ahead and do it. So, I mean, it's not about wins and losses at this point.
No. And I'm going to put up one more, and I know we've got a super chat, but like Texas is too deep, can't get on the field. Well, you don't think Georgia has depth, and Notre Dame and Alabama and Ohio State, all three of those schools are in the top 6 in the team recruiting ranking. So if you're the type of players that Texas is recruiting, they're not worried about that stuff. I mean, these guys feel like they can go in and play with the best of the best. So I don't think depth on the roster is a huge.
No, those are the things you tell yourself. And Texas boy is a good person. Those are the things you tell yourself, when you're not getting the guys that you want. I mean, that's what it boils down. It's the rationalization. Like people aren't these are high level competitors. If you ever been around high level competitors, they all think they're better than the people who are there. And when you're getting recruited, by the way, Texas boy, they're not telling you, hey, you probably don't even really fit into our 2 deep at all. Right? I mean, they're telling you everything that you want to hear. You don't think when they're recruiting someone, they're like, hey, Trevor Guzzi's pretty good, but you may have a chance to beat him out, but in another year or two, right? Outside of you recruiting someone at the quarterback room, they all tell you what you want to hear. It's not that. What it really boils down to is how deep your pockets are. That's why we're not talking about depth chart deep. We're talking about pockets deep. Every one of these kids want to know. It's all good. How much you going to pay me? And when the paycheck is what it all boils down to. Sometimes Texas feels like these guys are worth a certain amount. Other ones, they feel like, you know what, we can let that thing go. We're just not going to go in that route. And that's just kind of their approach.
Our man Barb's 10 throws in a $9.99 super chat. So we finally going to drop the student athlete from the Conversation See South Park episode. Correct. Yes. I don't know how many people are focused on that part of it, Barb's 10, but I do get your point. I absolutely get your point.
I used the term student athlete in my 3-2-1, and somebody's like, are we still using that term? I was like, you know what? I might need to retire.
There's 2 things. You can retire that, and you could also retire. Well, you don't criticize them because they're not professional.
Right. They're professional athletes who maybe occasionally go to class, right? Onward.
I'm sure that every once in a while it happens, but there's always this thing in our business, right? For the people watching, where you didn't criticize, the college athletes because they would say, you know what, they're not professionals, they're not getting paid, they're student athletes, so you got to be kind of nice to them. You get paid $1 million a year, $2 million a year, whatever it is. It's almost gloves off. You can't say like, oh, he's a little kid. You're like, no, he literally is a professional athlete.
Hey, when they're college, for sure. I mean, literally, like last month, I'm down at the airport stalking these kids, and it is stalking, and I hate it, and it's paparazzi-ish. And I just said how much I hate it, and another media guy that was there is like, bullshit, they're professional athletes at this point. I was like, you know what? He's not wrong. They really are. So,
they have agents in high school now.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we are beyond the whole amateur sport, student athletes. Hell, we don't even know what these kids major in. They used to put that on the TV screen when a kid was majoring in. You're like, oh, wow. Sometimes you see like liberal arts. You're like, liberal arts? What's he planning to do with that? Some would say it's pharmaceutical degree. Like, wow. We don't know their majors.
Kinesiology.
Not a one. I think you have to look online to see what their majors are.
That's a good point. Jay, I see your super chat. We will get to that. Speaking of Jay and all of you in the chat, up over 400 of you in the Specs chat. Let's give Specs a little love. They've always got something going on. Here's Lisa.
Texans know for selection and lower prices, it all starts at Specs. Shop Specs! With all your favorites on tap, you'll bring home the win. Boots on, drinks up. The fun starts here. Shop Specs!
Didn't look like Lisa's first time to play beer pong.
Boom. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I laughed at Cotton's comment right there at the bottom.
Where did Cotton go? This one right here?
My NIL.
My NIL would go out to paying off my professors. Need that. That's a different kind of bag man right there.
I'm sorry. I just saw that. It just made me laugh. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get in the comments and I get distracted.
That is funny. All right. So
crazy to me, like Felix Ojo, 1.7 mil a year. He's making more than his coach is making, dude. Like Felix,
he's definitely making more than every one of his professors are making.
Yeah, exactly. Felix, do some laps. Nah, coach, here's 500. I'm gonna pay you off.
Every coach except McGuire. Is he making more than every coach except McGuire? Maybe.
Yeah,
Jason, imagine Felix when he goes to class and then like, hey, if you want to be successful in life, these are the reasons you need to learn this stuff in economics. He's like, dude, I literally make more money than you. I drove up here in my Lambo or whatever. Yeah. And it's so like, imagine a professor.
Better be studying finance is what they better be studying. Yeah.
That's about it. That biology ain't worth a damn.
And you know what that reminds me of, Anwar? A world of pro sports, specifically the NBA. Now, there's a lot less players there, but in that world, we have those discussions about, hey, this is an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid making way more than the coach. So if somebody's got to go, who's going to go? The answer is always the coach in the NBA. If the player's talented enough, obviously in football, it's a little different discussion, but still, yeah, that's got to be a whole nother world to get used to your rights.
I mean, nowadays, Chad, I mean, the team meetings used to just be, okay, well, that was just, the players complaining about something like that. But you could have kids do a power play, hey, we're all going to bolt if you don't get rid of this coach, and yeah, it could happen. We're like, yeah, sorry, Coach Perkins, you got to get out of here. It'll be interesting.
Yep. Super chats getting lined up. Jay, I see yours. Also, Tracy threw in a 10 spot, so he will jump in ahead of you, and we'll do that real quick after I tell you about a great steak. How about Taste on Main? Downtown Buda, nice, great atmosphere, great casual atmosphere. Y'all know me. Y'all see me every day. I'm wearing a T-shirt pretty much every day. You can do the same at Taste on Main. They're not going to hassle you about what you're wearing. They just want to feed you some good food, get you some great drinks, and have a great time right there in downtown Buda. My wife and I have done it for, anniversaries, birthdays, just get together with some friends for a brunch. They do a great Saturday and Sunday brunch as well. Remember, these are the same people that bring you Hayes City Store, so every detail is going to be taken care of. And be sure to ask about what Oscar style means on a steak. This country boy didn't know, and now I love me some Oscar-style steak. So go check it out. Taste on Main, downtown Buda. Tell them that you heard about it on Orange Bloods Live. All right, the super chat that took the place was Tracy's. Thank you, Tracy. Big money goes first. $10. Thoughts on CDC having conversations with Tesla, Oracle, Chevron, Frontier Communication, etc. about NIL partnerships. Maybe CDC can also bring up Anwar's internet issues.
I don't know what can solve my internet issues, Tracy. Every time I feel like me and Spectrum are good, they let me down. So I'm obviously, as you guys can see, I'm not at home at this moment, and I have no internet issues. I don't know. That's a really good thing. Maybe there's a company out there that just says, "Hey, Anwar, I'll let you use our spot in exchange for, a shout out or something to that effect, nice sports bar that has good Wi-Fi that wants to give me free food." Anyway, is the CDC thing, is that something that's happening, or is this in theory?
I think he's saying in theory, like getting those people to step up and do NIL deals the way Texas Tech Double Eagle guy is doing.
My answer to Tracy would be it's a brilliant idea. They should have already been doing it. They should definitely be doing it now. And we've talked about, if you're uncomfortable with that idea of, say, HEB right there on a Texas jersey, get comfortable with the idea. But Texas needs to be thinking about all those things, guys. What are you going to put right here on the jersey? What are you going to put at the alternating 25-yard lines on the field? You do not want to look like it's Texas. You don't want to look like you're getting left behind in terms of a part of the sport that makes money. If I'm Texas, I want to be out in front on that. If people want to say it, it looks like what? Like Texas is making money? That's exactly what it should look like.
You're going on a slippery slope. Then you're going to have NASCAR looking jerseys. Tracy, I understand what you're saying. Big companies, big money, go solicit them for help. But Texas Tech's in a unique situation. Cody Campbell, their Double Eagle guy, their billionaire backer, he played at Texas Tech. He played football. Does Elon Musk give a shit about Texas Longhorn football? No, probably not. So it's a very unique situation, that, especially like what you're dealing with in Lubbock. I don't know that just major companies are going to start funding Texas NIL deals just because they got money to throw around.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different, because HEB, I think, sponsors UTSA, I believe. And,
do they? Okay.
But that's that.
And they do a lot of stuff for Texas too on the periphery, I think. But are they going to start funding NIL stuff? Probably not.
By the way,
it also helps. HEB is based in San Antonio, though, so that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah,
for that.
Maybe Kerrville's.
And it may not be HEB, but is it a Texas company that's going to make sense? Like if the arrangement can make sense, I think it'd be an interesting thing to look at. By the way, you mentioned Cody Campbell, Jason. Did you guys realize he's the chairman of their board of regents?
No.
I did not realize. I read through an article in the last couple of days about him and the plan out there and McGuire and what they're doing. He's the chairman of the board of regents, in addition to being the former player, in addition to being the businessman that's worth billions. I was trying to think, have I ever heard of that? That the head of the board of regents has that much money, in a given situation. That's kind of crazy.
You've had some board members at University of Texas who are pretty big donors, but not to Cody Campbell's level.
No, not to that level. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right. So that exactly, just to that extent, I'd never heard of anything like that. A few other super chats rolling in. Oscar jumping ahead with a $9.99. Who teaches these players fiscal responsibility? Oh, don't bring logic to the discussion, Oscar. What are you doing? A lot of the NFL goes broke after their career. Who's going to be able to teach them anything when they make more than their authority figure? This is where the education needs to come in, guys. And
honestly, I've said it since NIL was first announced, they need to have, each school should have, they need to take it upon themselves, but you got to have a component to educate. I mean, hell, I can imagine what I would have done if I'm 18 and I'm getting millions of dollars. I mean, educate, or even if it's a couple $100,000, if you're smart with that money, that could be life-changing money over the course of your life. So it's a good point. I mean, I hope these athletes are being smart with all this windfall of money, but I mean, hell, they're teenagers. So, I mean, it is a good point, Oscar. It's going to be interesting to kind of track over a 10-year span or something.
The thing is, Oscar, financial literacy applies to everybody. There's adults rolling around with bad credit scores. I mean, there's adults rolling around who filed for bankruptcy. There's a bankruptcy court for a reason. It's not just athletes, okay? It's not. There's not bankruptcy attorneys out there that only serve athletes. Like, financial literacy is a thing. Dave Ramsey has made an empire based off of how to school people on how to handle their finances, right? So, Oscar, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm also saying when it comes to finances and handling finances, it's not just limited to athletes. It's literally everybody in this world who went to a school like all of us did, old folks, and no one taught us how to do checkbooks, right? No one taught us how to balance anything, like credit cards. Like, they had credit cards that were on your college campuses. You're like, what's this? I have no credit. $1,000, sure, right? And here you are, like,
I get a free shirt. Sign me up.
I get a free shirt. Oh yeah, free shirt.
Hands among us who's like, take that free T-shirt. $1,000 turns into $2,500. That turns into $3,000. You're like, holy shit! And then you should never do that again.
Yeah, that's it. Oscar, thank you for the super chat and the reminder about the free T-shirt. That's fantastic. All right, Jay, let's grab this one. Sorry it took so long. $5. Jason, A&M didn't have that good of a season last year. I know they always have decent classes, but obviously they decided to spend like big boys, right?
Yeah, 100%, Jay. Aggie fans will tell you otherwise. Like, oh no, they just got dynamic recruiters and this, that, and the other. No, they're throwing around money, and that's why they're recruiting so well. I mean, I've actually argued this with a buddy of mine who's like an A&M guy, and I'm like, dude, the year they signed the number one class, I think, in the history of, at the time, the Rivals rankings, like, Chad, you can argue with me if you want, like, those guys aren't going there because they love College Station. They're not going there for the championship history. I mean, I'm not saying A&M can't recruit pretty well, but I mean, it's pretty obvious what they're doing. There's a reason. I mean, A&M, what I say, has a number 3 ranked class in the country right now, 24 commitments. That doesn't happen without them throwing around big boy money, as Jay said. So that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I just think to me, it's both. There's both sides of it for everybody, but certain brands bring with it a little bit more of that cachet and a little more of that attitude. And A&M's just not quite one of those brands.
They're not. They're like,
and we know who that is.
Maybe, but Tennessee's got a championship.
We know who that is in college football, just like we know who it is in baseball. The Yankees get to be the Yankees. But, if the Brewers or the Diamondbacks are trying to get somebody and they get them, a lot of us look at it and go, oh, man, did you see the deal they signed? So what's wrong with it in this world? I think you got to understand both sides. And A&M's mistake, specifically Jimbo Fisher's mistake back then, was not fully understanding what Nick Saban was saying. He flipped out. He started reacting before he realized it. Nick was giving him a compliment, and he was stating something that was true, and all Jimbo had to do was just funnel it right back and say, here's what we're doing. But instead, he got sensitive and called Nick the devil. And it's like, well, no, just admit, just like Kirby Hocutt and Cody Campbell should be admitting this. You guys did it with money. You're damn right we did.
Yeah,
and we got plenty
no shame
more.
In that anymore. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
No
we have plenty more. That's exactly what the answer should have been. Jay, it's an interesting point. And to your point, we are in a 4-year run of A&M not being ranked at the end of the year. 21, 22, 23, and 24. That class was a part of it that Jason mentioned. The Aggies have not finished the year ranked since 2020. Just let that sink in for a second. That's the run they're on the field. And that's the part that's got to change for Mike Elko.
Yet they're going to
go after somebody else.
They got the number 3 ranked recruiting class, and they're probably going to add a couple more big pieces here this week. It's not, I mean, you could maybe justify if you're like, oh, but it's in beautiful Southern California, or it's in but I mean, College Station has its draw for people. I get it, but it's not like recruits are flocking to College Station because they love the scenery or the area or anything like that. So
right.
There's one reason and one reason only. And I'm not saying they don't have good recruiters. They do have good recruiters, to be clear, but you're not closing on a guy potentially like Lamar Brown to Texas A&M without a major NIL offer.
Now the credit, the part of the credit, I think, Jason, you'd agree that you do give A&M, just like I would any other college town kind of team, is facilities. The Aggies,
very nice facilities,
right? Yeah. They're keeping up with facilities. The stadium's badass. But you're right in terms of the town. That's what the college town people can't deal with.
But some people like that. I mean, you know it, Chad. I mean, it still has a small town feel. I mean, Austin, Texas is not for every. And some recruits come to Austin and are like, whoa, this is a little too much for me. So maybe College Station is more their speed. And College Station, I mean, I've been going there for 20 some odd years. It's changed a lot. It's
right.
It's not what it used to be too. But yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, A&M. And listen, man, I mean, it's not a dirty word anymore to say, oh, yeah, A&M's buying players. I mean, they are. And you know what? They're smart. More power to them. It's working. So
right. And especially if we're going to officially go into this pro mindset, everybody's going to be buying them. That's the whole point. It's just that, again, some people get to be the Yankees and some people get to be other baseball teams. Texas is the Yankees, and everybody else has to figure that part out. And Texas Tech is not. And A&M's not. They've got to figure out, their spot in it. All right, another quick super chat from Jay to clean us off here. $5. I've heard about billionaires and large corporations trying to buy equity in college sports teams. They give money and receive portions of profits. Oh, good grief. Yeah, that's
I have not heard that, but that would be very interesting. So you basically have a percent ownership essentially of a college program.
Now that's another level, Anwar. That's a whole nother level.
I mean, if in theory, I mean, and again, I haven't heard all this, but I mean, in theory, everyone wants to be, who's billionaire would like to be an NFL owner, right? But there's levels to that. Like there is like, okay, you got this kind of money, and then you have like that kind of money. But if you're looking to be, like the guy at Tech or something like that, then this becomes kind of your team. Like you get to be Jerry Jones of a program, and maybe it's not the Dallas
or you're
Cowboys,
just a minority shareholder. You own like a small fraction of a program. I mean, like you see with professional teams.
Yeah. I mean, and now all of a sudden I can't afford, $1 billion to put together to go ahead and buy this franchise, but I got this much money for these schools, and I can do Louisville. I like Louisville. I can do, you hear about some of these programs that are being funded by, really rich people who are like, okay, not a problem, right? So, I mean, it's not the worst idea. I mean, quite honestly.
Really interesting. Jay, thank you for the super chat as always. That clears us off with super chats. A couple more names I want Jason to give us an update on before we close the modcast. And Jason's got a roll here in about 5 to 10. We will definitely do that. Also, let's get some love to the good folks at Hijack Poker. If you love online poker and you're in the state of Texas, good news. Go to hijackpoker.com, put that app on any device you want, and get to playing. There's all kinds of ways to deposit money. And remember, you can deposit and cash out at one of the 6 Texas Card House locations. Shout out to Texas Card House. They bring you House Divided here on Orange Bloods Live, and there's always something going on over there at Texas Card House. Get out there in person or check out hijackpoker.com. All right, so Jason, we've already talked about Jaylen Lot, and again, we're recording and going live here on a Tuesday, 2:45, Jaylen Lot. Tuesday, 6 p.m., Braden Rouse. Make sure you're on orangebloods.com for the very latest on what happens there. Jason, Thursday's a monster day. Thursday's a day that's been coming for a while, especially if you love the defensive side of the ball. Jamarion Carlton, the stud from Temple, Lamar Brown, the stud from Baton Rouge, both on the defensive front, will both announce Give us the latest here, because Texas fans would love to at least hear one of those names. Go Texas.
Well, if they're going to hear one, it's going to be Jamarian Carlton. Lamar Brown, he did visit Texas, took an official visit, but that's going to be Texas A&M or LSU. There's actually a lot of A&M buzz with Lamar Brown, 5-star defensive tackle. Carlton, that would have been trending Texas, but Texas Tech is doing its thing.
Really?
Baylor is trying to do a Texas Tech thing. So they made that one a little bit more interesting. So there's a lot of chatter that Baylor might be the team to beat for Jamarian Carlton coming into Thursday's announcement. I'm supposed to talk to Jamarian possibly today to kind of get a better read on that, to decide if I'm going to be going to his commitment announcement. But right now, I mean, I don't want to say Texas has ground to make up, but some people would seem to believe that. That's not what I have been told directly, but people I know and I trust and people I've talked to said, hey, like their intel has Baylor surging into the lead for Jamarian Carlton. So a little bit of late movement on that one. And then one more, Chad, I want to address where I have to hop out. On Friday is Samari Matthews, the cornerback out of North Carolina. He's got a Final Four, but it's going to be Texas or South Carolina. There is mixed messaging on that one. A lot of people think Texas is the leader, okay? And I know why they feel that way, and it is good information. There's some things behind the scenes that could help Texas land Samari Matthews, very highly rated cornerback, including maybe, helping his family with some things and academically, so on and so forth. But I've also heard a lot South Carolina buzz this weekend from a source that I really trust. So, keep an eye on Samari Matthews. That one's Friday evening. It's going to be, I'll say excitement, but there's going to be some mystery this week with some of these announcements.
Interesting. Anwar, before Jason has to duck out, you got anything else for him? Okay.
Nah, man. Go ahead and do what you got to do.
Real quick, Jason, give us the short version of you asking Jamarian Carlton whether or not you need to make the drive to Temple. What does that sound like?
Jamarian, I don't want to waste my time or your time. I'm not going to give your scoop away, but is it worth my time to be up there? If not, best of luck to you.
There you go. There it is. I love it. Jason, take care, man.
Hey, guys.
That's Jason Sucamel. Oh, the business of recruiting. My goodness. So lots of big decisions coming up in the next few days. We mentioned the 2 today on a Tuesday. Thursday, you got Carlton and Brown. Jason mentioned Samari Matthews on Friday. Saturday, Hezzy Kent, the tight end or O-lineman, whatever you like, out of and where is Hezzy from? I don't have that written down. Caden Prothrow and Calvin Thomas they're all gonna commit. So you got 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 guys in these next few days that are going to commit. All right, I got a couple of questions I want to hit Anwar with before we wrap up. But also, we got a lot of great partners around here, including AV Consultations. Here's more about what AV can do for you, give you some sights and sounds. You'll hear from Tom and Camilla. And then I want to ask Anwar a college football question because SEC Media Days are coming up. We'll get a little preview talk going on that. Here's AV.
Hi, everyone. This is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations. We've been serving and assisting customers in the Texas area
I think I got this by now, old man. This is Camilla McKay, Audiovisual's social media and website manager. Our company has been helping you sit back and relax for the last 37 years. We come to you, and we're the kind of workers you want in your home. We give you all the advice at a great price, and we do a lot more than just audiovisual systems. We have employees capable of performing services like electrical contracting, heated floors, motorized shades. Am I forgetting anything, old man?
Yeah, we do surveillance systems, controlled lighting systems, and landscape lighting, computer networks, multi-room audio systems, and of course, we install some really cool theaters.
I had a feeling you were going to say that last one.
Now, am I forgetting anything?
Only this. Remember to hug your kids, laugh with strangers, and make love to whoever the hell you want.
So give us a call at 512-255-8678.
Or visit us online at avconsultations.com.
That's 512-255-8678.
If you want to squeeze in a super chat before we wrap up, we will certainly try to grab that. All right, Anwar, I have 2 questions for you. Somebody in the chat earlier wanted to know if you have found a background where you just took your Sunday Pulpit article and
I
just
saw
put it
that
behind you on the wall. You mentioned that you're not at the home base. So are you like in transit about to head towards Atlanta?
No. I'm in San Antonio. So
Oh, okay.
I wish it was something as fun or delicate. I'm actually going to go to Atlanta on Friday, but no. So real simple. My girl, she lives down here, and but it's easier from a work perspective for me to have a room that I can go to. And so I just so if you know anything, I'm in the A loft is what I'm in, so you can tell. But no, that there's a background behind me. I-10 is somewhere back there, and so we try to spend as many summers as we can together. So but it's hard to train an entire household, my kids, dogs, her family, on how to just shut the F up so I can do a show. And so I'd much rather just rent a room and just be here than actually have to yell at everybody and all kinds of stuff. You can't. And the other thing too, you can't. You can't like with your woman, like you can't like get like hostile with her around like her kids, right? Because then it's like, oh, you can't do that to my mom, right? So you can't. So now so I'm just like, no. Let me just have my little space here. I can work here in the day. You can either spend the night here, or I'll spend the night at your house. I'll come back in the morning. This is my office. So but if I open up the curtain, which is over there, it's really it's just an A-loft hotel.
Beautiful. All right, there it is. It does look like some real cool, like the Declaration of Independence.
It's a bunch of numbers.
Okay.
It is. Like it's a bunch of numbers in some sort of random matrix kind of order.
Okay.
But yeah, and I'm on the little couch here, but so that's all it is. It's a good question though. Good observations. I'm definitely not at home.
Yeah, for the people in the chat, that's actually the Texas Tech NIL computation behind Anwar.
Yes, exactly. That's how much money Ojo's making, I believe.
Ojo's contract is behind Anwar
right behind me. And then what was the second question?
The other question is about SEC Media Days. As you get ready to head to Atlanta next week, you're going to be there covering things for Orange Bloods and Orange Bloods Live. Also, Alex and Cody and Sonny are going to be, there with you. But as we get ready for, we're less than 60 days from the season. Like, what do you think the first two, a couple topics that are going to be, at the forefront those first couple days? By the time Sark hits the podium on Tuesday, he's Tuesday, right?
Yeah, he's Tuesday.
So by the time he hits the podium Tuesday, whatever the thing is, they're going to present it to Sark. The media will want to hear Sark's thoughts. What do you think the thing is going to be when you get to the end of that first day on Monday?
So let me go through this here. Okay, so on Monday, we're going to start out. We'll have Brian Kelly, Lane Kiffin, Shane Beamer, and Clark Lee.
Okay. Two definite big talkers. Those first two guys are going to, they'll say anything.
Yeah. So anything and everything will be on the table as far as that is concerned. Beamer's entertaining, and Clark Lee is kind of like Ferris Bueller, where it's just like Bueller. He's a good quote, but he just doesn't. He's nonstop. Day two is Hugh Freeze, Kirby Smart, Josh Heupel, and Steve Sarkisian.
Man, so day two is the big day. That's the big day.
Day two is a really big day because day three is Alabama, Florida, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma. And the last day is probably the least of them. It's Arkansas, Kentucky, Missouri, and Texas A&M.
Oh,
so
man,
by Thursday, if you're watching at home, you probably have turned it off.
What a lost day. So the star of day four is Drinkwitz and
Drinkwitz,
right?
and Elko. But yes, Drinkwitz is the guy.
Did you say Kentucky's day four?
Kentucky and Arkansas.
Oh,
so Sam Pittman, Mark Stoops, Drinkwitz, and Elko on the final day.
Drinkwitz is easily the best talker of that group.
Yeah.
Stoops will not look like he wants to be there. And Pittman's got the old, that old school feel to him. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that'll be.
Yeah. And what's fun, before I answer your question, I've always have this thing, and it's a little bit of sadistic, but it dates back to the Big 12 media days. And I would always after it was over, I'd always think to myself, which coach is not going to be here next year? I guess it's always my thought. I'm like, who's talking to us for the last time? And I'm going through this list, and I'm going to get to your question in a second. But out of all the guys who are talking this year, who is not going to be there in 2026?
I mean, I think Napier lives in perpetual heat somehow, right? Everybody wants to talk about him every year. So if Florida didn't have a great year this year, is it him? Is it, I mean, I don't know.
Is it Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State? Is it Brent Venables at Oklahoma? Is it Hugh Freeze? Like, Hugh Freeze might be the most likely candidate at Auburn.
What's this? This is only his second year at Auburn, though, right?
Oh, yeah, you might be right.
Isn't that right? It's pretty early. I think you brought up a guy, Lebby. If Mississippi State was really bad, because Lebby had a weird feel to him last year. Lebby felt like he was trying to tread water a little bit. Is he really that guy? That's what I always look for at media days, Anwar, is who, like you're saying, it's not only who's not going to be here, who feels like they belong. Yeah. Who feels like a head coach. I was reminded of one. I know you were there too. 2022 Big 12 media days. That's the first time anybody heard from Venables as the head coach at Oklahoma and McGuire as the head coach at Tech. And Anwar, you remember the feeling of both of them that day in Jerry World. One of them was talking about drinking out of a fire hose. And it just felt like, oh, dude, this guy might not be ready. And that other guy got talked about the whole 2 days by everyone. I bet I had 8 to 10 conversations where somebody, me or the other person, said, man, how about Joey McGuire? He just feels like the part, doesn't he? Yeah. It was instantaneous for me. That man said 3 sentences, and I thought, oh, I know why they hired him. I get it. I totally get it. And but yeah, the SEC, man, the SEC's light is so bright, and it does just mean more. But Anwar, to your point, it also means we can tell easier. It's easier to tell when you don't belong. Yeah. It's easier to tell when you're on the south side of that.
By the way, Hugh Freeze, this will be year 3 for him.
Oh, it is year 3. Okay.
So he was 6-7 in year 1, and with a loss in the Music City Bowl. And then he was 5-7 last year. So you got to figure this is a big year. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't think as of this morning, unless I missed it, Texas hadn't announced their lineup.
I don't think so.
If Arch goes to SEC Media Days, I think he's the biggest thing that everyone's talking about. So, I mean
right. JD said, Sark, talk about Arch Manning.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Thank you, JD. Yeah, I didn't even see that, but I think he would be the biggest topic if he goes to SEC Media Days. And I would think Sark would bring him, but he's going to be your starting quarterback. So, might as well.
Yeah, in terms of the big topic that, I just wonder how much NIL is going to be discussed.
Well, now that's what I'm saying. If it's not Arch, if he's not there, then I think you move into a world where we're talking about NIL and coaches complaining about, the guys getting paid. Of course, they're the same coaches that are making sure guys are getting paid. So there's some irony to that. But I think there'll be complaints about that, right? I think that'll be the thing.
Yeah, because you were in Destin for the spring meetings, and multiple people showed up they were still angry about who didn't make the playoff. And now there's, maybe there's tweaks that are going to be made there, and they've done away with the seeding thing. They're going to seed a little better this year, and we know we're ultimately probably headed to 16 teams. So I wonder if that lingers at all, or if I think it's going to turn into like a Wild West versus right now, NIL, the Texas Tech story. It's not SEC, but the Texas Tech story has tentacles into the state of Texas for obviously Longhorn and Aggie fans are paying attention to that. I wonder if there's going to be a lot of big discussions. And you mentioned the first 2 guys, Anwar. The first 2 people to speak for the SEC are Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin. Did I hear you correctly?
Yeah. Not in order, but
they're the first
we don't
day.
have an order yet. But Brian Kelly, Lane Kiffin, Shane Beamer, and Clark Lee.
Those two
That's
guys are speaking day one. And I don't care if they get asked or not. They're each going to have something that gets out there, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if Lane Kiffin has ever done a next question to any reporter.
No.
I don't know. I don't think he's ever next questioned anybody. Lane seems to be pretty game for whatever kind of dry humor / he'll shoot a shot at somebody. Yep. Somebody will get a shot by Lane. I don't know who, but Lane.
And the other thing I think that to look for next week, Anwar, is the Texas shadow and how it's perceived by everybody else. Because last year it was still a little bit of that. Yeah, but can you do it here? Yeah, but can you really make the playoff? And can you really get back to a semifinal? Well, now they did it. And now that guy's going to take snaps. So I felt it last year in Dallas. And I think you're going to feel it even in Atlanta. You're going to feel those Georgia folks and those Bama folks and those Tennessee folks. They're kind of looking over their shoulder like, man, there's a lot of Texas talk. And you're going to take the Texas thing and add Arch Manning to it?
But yes. So I agree. If Arch is there, 100%. Now here's the tricky part. Kirby and Sark go on the same day. Yeah. And one of them has scoreboard, right? Now, one of them could say, I went further than the other program, but one guy is going to step on the podium and say, we are defending SEC champions. And we're going to try to go ahead and win this again. And this is what we've done, So it'll be interesting because if I would 100% agree with you if Kirby was on another day. Kirby was on a Monday. Kirby was on a Wednesday. But he's on the same day as Sark. If one guy's got scoreboard on him, I think Arch will be a huge talking point. But I don't know how much of the Texas is coming thing you can have when you're really sitting there at the guy who says, we beat this team twice last year.
It's going to be so great to watch because you're right. And Kirby had a little bit of that feel last year as well of why is everybody talking about this new shiny thing when we run this conference? We are the thing. And now you're right. It's going to be, did y'all watch these games or not versus, the undeniable branding energy. I mean, you watched it last year. We watched situations where Bama's quarterback showed up and Georgia's quarterback showed up and nobody had more people around him than Quinn Ewers did. Yeah. And now make it Arch Manning if he's there. And by the way, it will be galactically bizarre if Sark doesn't bring Arch Manning. Like if you, I don't understand. There's an argument for it, but I don't get it. There's no way. You got to.
I don't know. I don't think Greg Sankey would even, allow that. In fact, hold on.
I wouldn't let Sark in the building.
Hold on.
I would threaten to not let him in.
Hold on. As we are talking, just got something from the SEC that says for Texas, Anthony Hill, Arch Manning, and Michael Taft.
There it is. And I believe was it you that I saw predict those exactly?
Yes, that was my prediction on Sunday.
That was you, right? Yeah.
Yes.
There it is. No, it's going to be.
There you go. Breaking news. As you were just talking about it.
There it is. It's official.
Yeah, close to Orange Buzz right now.
It is official. Arch Manning will be speaking at SEC Media Days because, exactly. Like, I hope the South is ready, Anwar. I hope one of the great cities in the South, Atlanta, GA, is ready for this once in a universe moment when Arch Manning goes to Atlanta wearing Longhorn burnt orange to rep his team. Oh my God. It's going to be incredible.
All right, buddy. Hey, well, I got to type this up.
All right, Anwar, you go do that. I will close the door here. I appreciate you jumping in today.
Good,
Anwar Richardson updating it right now. You heard it here on Orange Bloods Live. He's putting it on orangebloods.com. Be sure to get on Orange Bloods. Get signed up. It is a perfect time to do it. We appreciate those of you that have done that. By the way, speaking of appreciation, how about this? Let me see if I can update. Hang on, hold on. I updated the numbers for you guys because you're the ones that are doing this. Thank you guys so much for getting us almost to 30,000 subscribers. We've seen the subscriber number going up recently, and it's almost to 30,000. Thank you so much for that. 15.9 million views and counting on Orange Bloods Live. We appreciate you. Like, subscribe, get your notifications. And remember, if you didn't like on the way in, if you would please like on the way out, and maybe subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel. Of course, that is free. We'd appreciate you. And if you want to get signed up for orangebloods.com, that is how it all keeps rolling. And we appreciate you for doing that. Get on in. You'll get all the war rooms, and you'll get Anwar's article on Sunday. Sunday's the big day on Orange Bloods because you get Anwar at the front of the day and Catch on the backside. You get Anwar with the Sunday pulpit somewhere towards that mid-morning area, and then you get Catch's 10 thoughts from the weekend coming usually in the evening time on Sunday, not to mention everybody else's great content. Jason Sukumel, the 321 article is out, his very latest on the recruits. And again, we structured this whole modcast today around all this recruiting news. So get on orangebloods.com for the very latest there. And once Jaylen Lot and Braden Rouse make their commitment decisions today, then it'll be on to Carlton and Brown on Thursday. Don't forget, we debut the recruiting hour on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. here on Orange Bloods Live. That's brought to you by Longhorn Wealth Management Group. There'll be plenty to talk about this week, from Jason reacting to Lot and Rouse's decisions, but also talking about maybe a little bit of Ojo to Tech, but also Carlton and Brown. A lot of things to get into on the recruiting hour this week, and we will certainly do it. Rex, never. I don't know what you're talking about. Never, ever, ever. Dramatic. Not me. If you mean the Arch Manning thing, yeah, that was overly dramatic. But you can't let Texas show up without him. I'm sorry. You can't. Now, keep in mind, I was the one that said you had to have some kind of spring game where he threw the ball around, and Sark didn't do that. So I guess he could have, but I'm really glad to hear he's going to let him show up. And Arch is one of the greatest so far in his career. One of the things he doesn't get enough credit for, that dude can take a grenade question and stick a pin in it like that. He is so polished and so good at it. What's he going to get asked? How are they going to try to phrase it? Will they try to pin him down on, Quinn trap questions, Sark trap questions? Is somebody going to get up there and go Spurrier on him, or go Aaron Murray on him and ask a rude question? It could happen. This is the assembled media in Atlanta for the whole damn conference. You're telling me somebody that represents one of those other teams doesn't want to ask him a weird question? Hey, Arch, do you think you were better than Quinn last year? Should there have been a competition? Was there a competition? All of those things. But Arch is great at diffusing that stuff. I want to see how he does next week. And that is next Tuesday. It's official. Arch Manning, Anthony Hill, and Michael Taft are the 3 Texas representatives. They're going to be great. They're going to be awesome. The Taft media sessions will be great. Anthony Hill's going to do an amazing job. The guys were great last year, and I know they'll do a good job this year as well. All right, real quick before we get out of here, let me show you some beverages. The Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room, kids. They got 9 flavors now. The pineapple's awesome. If you haven't had it and you love pineapple Deep Eddy Vodka, I think it's already my favorite. I'm not trying to disrespect the other 8 because I love them. My favorites were orange and peach before pineapple. And the original is great as well. And there's some other flavors. I dig some stuff with the cranberry, and I like the lemon and the lime and all that. But there's just something about pineapple. When I heard that was the new flavor, I knew it was going to be one of my best friends. I think it's my best friend when it comes to the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Can't wait to get out there in August. We're planning a trip out there to try those new cocktails with the pineapple, but there's also all these different ideas for you as well. The Texas Margarita, the Blood Orange Rio Rita, whatever kind of flavor you're into. You see that one down there on the far lower left, Cranberry Mule. Yeah, if you're more into the cranberry vodka, they'll do something along those lines. You want to get more of the lemon or lime, they'll do that for you as well. Thursdays through Sundays, I'm talking to you on a Tuesday, so get your plans set. 12 to 7 on Thursdays. Friday and Saturday, it's 11 to 7. Sunday, 12 to 5. Be sure to get you some of that Crimson Creek Smokehouse barbecue to go along with it. It's a great way to spend a day. I can't wait to get back out there. We always have a blast at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Make sure you do it responsibly and make sure you get out there really soon. All right, one more check of the chats. Oh my God, that's a great idea. Hang on. Only ATX Bates would think of this. Quinn should show up to Atlanta and ask Arch questions. Well done, ATX Bates. That would happen. That would happen. Yeah, it's true. I hadn't thought of it, Mark. You're right. Both 16s are going. Arch and Mookie both showing up, plus old number 0 with Anthony Hill. It's going to be awesome next week at SEC Media Days. We'll have it covered for you here on Orange Bloods Live. Anwar, Alex, Cody, Sonny, they're going to be in Atlanta. Ketch and I will be back at the home base covering it all, watching all these coaches. And I've forgotten that Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin are day 1. Oh, my Lord. That's just wild. Sark and Kirby both go day 2. DeBoer is day 3. DeBoer and Napier day 3. And God love the fans of the 4 teams on day 4. I mean, come on. You got to be a hardcore Aggie, Wildcat, what is it, Razorback, or who's the 4th one? I forgot who it is. Hang on. He said it was Pittman, Elko, Stoops, and Drinkwitz. If you're a Missouri fan, you are the focus of day 4. You and whatever weird verbal thing Mike Elko might do. That's really it. Pittman's going to be good in country. You're going to get a lot out of that. I enjoyed Sam Pittman last year. He was really good. Elko looks like he'd rather be doing something else. Like he'd rather be crushing film. Stoops is Stoops, but he's not, he's not dynamic. And then Drinkwitz is going to say a lot of things. I don't know if he's going to be right about the things he says. I don't know, but it'll be entertaining. Drinkwitz will be entertaining on day 4. All right. Good idea from Steven. Steven, I'm going to look into this. The Deep Eddy transfusion. Yes. I'll see if they can do that for you out at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. All right. That'll wrap us up. Tomorrow at noon, Ketch is back for House Divided. We'll get his thoughts on everything that goes on today. Again, we're an hour and a half away from Jaylen Lot's decision. Braden Rouse will decide at 6:00 this evening. As I talk to you on a Tuesday, you got the 2 on Thursday, 1 on Friday, 3 on Saturday. There's just a lot going on in recruiting. You'll get the very latest on orangebloods.com and right here on Orange Bloods Live. Thank y'all for liking, subscribing, and getting your notifications. Until tomorrow, y'all take care. See ya.